Hey guys, I'm Sleepy, and today we will be talking about improving your art, and how to, I guess, improve it, and what you should be improving it towards, and all that stuff. So, yeah. And I guess I'm just gonna give a warning again that this is just my advice, and you don't have to take it. I just want to always give this warning. Anytime I give advice, I feel like I should give this warning that this is just my advice, and you don't have to listen to it. This is just like something, this is just my opinion, and that's it. Like, you don't have to you don't have to believe in it, you don't have to support it. It's just my opinion. You can if you want, it's your choice. I feel like I should just always give that disclaimer. That's the word I was looking for. Disclaimer. So yeah, okay, let's get started. Okay, so my first part, because this is like a process, or not a process. This is like they have different parts for this. That's how I listed it while I was writing this down. Because I have a little some notes like the different points. Okay, like so my first point is get an outside opinion that is credible. So like when you're trying to improve your art, I feel like it's good to get an outside opinion, but make sure that you get one that's credible, like an other artist who also draws in a similar style to you. Maybe it could be a friend, that artist that you have. Maybe it's a teacher, like your art teacher, and make sure they're credible. And for example, I guess if you draw in an anime style and your art teacher doesn't like that, then maybe you don't want to ask them because they're gonna be like, oh, those eyes are too big, or whatever. But make sure you get someone that you trust and that they're credible, and you don't believe their advice 100%, but take it, but like you don't have to believe it. I mean, I don't want to say that because like they could be giving good advice, but make sure they're credible, and don't believe it, and don't believe it 100% like full sale. Just take piece, I guess, of their advice and make sure that it's credible. That's how I would say. Cause I feel like, for example, I have a friend that I asked their advice, and I feel like the advice that they gave me was really, really good, and it helped me. But I don't feel like everyone has a friend like that. Not saying that people don't have friends or anything like that, but like I feel like not everyone's gonna get the same good advice that I guess that some other people give, because not everyone has the opportunity to ask people like that. So not everyone has that. So, but this is just like, if you can get a third party opinion that is credible, that you trust, like, and that make sure they're an artist too, and they understand where you're coming from. Like, because if you're ask like someone like because if you ask someone that you know personally, they're gonna prioritize their relationship over giving you advice, like, because they don't want to make you upset or whatever. So they're gonna be like, oh, it looks great, but then you're like, but that's not advice. Like, so yeah, make sure it's credible, and make sure, and like, especially from like a fellow artist, I feel like that's really good, because they know where you're coming from, and then maybe you can give them advice, and it could be like kind of like an art trade thing, not an actual art trade, but like trading advice and stuff like that. That'd be really cool. So yeah, I feel like asking from a third, but don't take their advice like full sale, like, especially if they don't know what they're talking about, then what's the point? Like, really. So yeah, that's my advice on giving an outside, or that's my advice on my first point, which is getting an outside opinion that is credible, and not taking their advice full sale to the point where it's like kind of concerning. So yeah, okay, next. Okay, so my next piece of advice is something that I definitely do not do enough. Like, in my opinion, I don't do enough, and that is flipping your canvas. Flipping your canvas is really important. Like, it's so important. I can't stress that enough. But I don't do it enough, and so it's kind of making me a hypocrite over here. But like, it's so important, because once you flip it, you're gonna, especially do it during, like, don't do it a bunch, because then you're going to become desensitized to your own drawing, and then you're not going to notice mistakes and things like anatomy mistakes, stuff like that. You're not going to notice it, so don't flip it too much, but flip it like at certain points in each part of like the drawing process. Like, for example, after you're done with like your sketching, or unless you do two sketches like I do, then do it after your first sketch, and then your second sketch, and then your line art, and but like do it like at least, I guess, maybe 5 times, not too much. Maybe 5 times, like a little too extra. Maybe like 3 or 4, not too much. Like, especially before the liner, because changing something after a liner, like something like anatomy wise or whatever you like to draw, is gonna be after the line art and after putting in the colors, it's just gonna be a mess to try to fix. So my advice is, yeah, flipping your canvas, and make sure you do it at certain points, because I know the first time you flip it, you're gonna look at your drawing and then you're gonna be like, what is this mess? But it's really, and you're gonna feel so like, I guess maybe, I don't know, embarrassed is the word, but you're gonna be like, there's so many mistakes that I didn't even see, and it's gonna be like the whole entire thing. But it's really important, and because so you can fix those mistakes, and even then, like, and don't flip it after you're finished with the whole entire drawing, because then you're gonna cry. You're gonna cry. Oh no. But it's really important to flip your canvas so you can see those mistakes and you can fix the ones that you do see. And like, when it comes to flipping your canvas, I feel like a lot of people don't do it. Like, but it's really important, and you should be doing it. Like, especially if like because once you flip your, you know, it's like a bunch of things, like your anatomy, like maybe the tree that you were drawing was weird looking, it's like all morphed in a weird way and you didn't even notice it, but once you flipped it you were like, what happened? Stuff like that. That happens. So yeah, that's happened to me whenever I flip my canvas, whenever I do it anyway, because I don't do it enough. I know I don't do it enough. When it does happen, I flip it, I'm like, what the heck? I didn't even notice it. Especially things like the other eye, and like, you know, every artist knows, like, the other eye is way harder to draw than the first eye, because you have to make sure it matches and stuff. You're gonna notice stuff like that, like the other eye is like way different from the other eye. It's like morphed in a weird way and all that stuff. So it's really important to flip your canvas. Definitely do that. It's because it's gonna help a lot, in my opinion. It helps a lot. Okay, so next piece of advice. Okay, so my next piece of advice is do studies of different things, like for anatomy, landscapes, backgrounds, and specifically your weaknesses. Do studies of those. Like if you're bad at drawing like hands, for example, make sure you study that. Don't just draw the one thing that you're good at, because then you're gonna be stuck in this like comfortable zone, and that's a really bad place to be stuck in, because then you're not gonna practice other things that are important, like drawing backgrounds and like architecture, like buildings and landscapes and like all that stuff. You're not gonna practice them if you just draw the things that that's already in your comfort zone. So make sure to go out of your comfort zone a lot sometimes, not a lot, I guess, because because then it might not be fun, I guess, at that point, because it's like I'm not even drawing the things that I enjoy drawing anymore. But make sure you do it at least sometimes, so you have some practice in those things that you are not comfortable in, because it's really important. I feel like it's gonna help improve your art a lot if you draw those things, because practice, as they say, practice makes perfect. Well, not really perfection, but you can get close to it. I don't think you're ever gonna be 100% happy with your drawings, but you can get pretty close if you just keep practicing things that you're bad at. Like if you're bad at like certain like anatomy, it's like backgrounds, like, because I know I'm not that good at drawing backgrounds, so I really need to practice that. And like, because I've just been I practice a lot of like anatomy stuff, but I don't practice enough backgrounds, I feel like. So like, I really need to practice that. I'm calling myself out, because it's true. I know I don't practice backgrounds enough. I mean, I have been recently, but before I never did. Before I was in like my comfort zone where I just show the same thing over and over again, and I just noticed it. After watching some YouTube videos, and they're like, and they even tell you to do that to get out of your comfort zone. I was like, I don't get out of my comfort zone. Then I started doing it, and then it improved my art slightly, but I still need to keep practicing so I can improve it more and more to the point where actually I'm okay at it. You know, not perfect. It's never gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be pretty close. So yeah, practice things that you're not good at, like, because if you can't ignore those things forever, especially like if you wanna get an art job or get an art job or get a degree or go to art school. They're gonna make you practice those things. Like if you're not good at drawing realism, make sure you practice that, because you're gonna have to draw realism in art school. Like it's gonna happen. I know it is like that, and I really want to go to art school, so I need to. And I've been practicing realism. I'm still pretty bad at it. I feel like my drawings just look like a bunch of dolls when I do realism, but I'm practicing, and that's what's important. So you can get better at it, and so. it won't look like a doll like anymore. It'll look like an actual human being and stuff like that. Well, it depends, because there's hyperrealism and then there's like normal like realism and stuff, like kings and queens and stuff like that, like in paintings. It just depends. Just practice what you're bad at. Okay, so next. Okay, so my last point that I have here is to use the things that you are good at in art and apply that to the things that you are bad at, which kind of sounds really confusing. I know it does, but I'm gonna give an example. So if you are good at drawing like characters and you love character design, which is literally me, and because I love character design, that's like my passion. If you're good at that and you're bad at drawing backgrounds and you want to draw backgrounds, for example, like a comic, for example, and comics are very story driven, what you should do probably is apply, like, for example, if you're drawing like a character's room or like home or something like that, like use the elements of that character and apply that to what your to their home. Like if they have like a maybe like, I don't know, skull motif going on, maybe you can put some skulls in their home, not a lot obviously, but like a little bit. Like if and that's just a random example that I gave, but like especially put things that they need. If they like wear a hat, for example, put a coat rack, or not a coat rack, a rack for their hat. Or if they wear like certain things, make sure they have a place for those things in their home, because well, they can't just put it on the floor, unless they're that type of character and they're like really messy and stuff like that. Then then that makes sense for your room to be really messy. But if they're not like that, then you want to make sure that they have a place to put certain things, and that connects to using things that you're good at and applying the things they're bad at. Because if you're bad at backgrounds, like me, for example, apply what you're good at, like character design, to your background, especially things in like story driven stuff. And if you're bad at backgrounds, and I guess, and you want to draw a character, I don't know how you like, I don't really know how to approach that, but I feel like what you should do is to apply, like, if I feel like apply what you know about backgrounds and apply that to things that you don't really know about character design, and also study character design. That's good too. And what I did mention about studying things is the ways to study. You can watch, like, for example, video lessons, like looking at references, stuff like that. I didn't mention that before, but that's really important, especially like if you don't have the money to do things like Skillshare. Not sponsored, obviously. I don't think I'm ever gonna be sponsored by them, but like, just want to mention that. Like, I don't think that's ever gonna happen, but I'm just saying. If you can't afford things like Skillshare, which is really good, I've heard that it's really good. So I do recommend Skillshare if you have the money. But if you don't, watch like YouTube videos, because that's free. That's literally free. That you can check out like any YouTube video that you want, and it's free. So why don't you like to improve, like, and watch things that you are bad at, as I said before, like, and watch YouTube videos on people giving advice about those things, and make sure the the YouTuber that you're watching is credible too. Obviously, make sure that they're credible. But yeah, my last piece of advice is use the things that you're good at in art and apply that to the things that you're bad at, like that example I gave earlier. So yeah, okay, that's it. That's the video. It's just basically me giving advice on how to improve your art, because I, for a long time, did not know how to improve my art. I didn't know what to improve it towards. I was like, what am I gonna do? How do I get out of this like weird comfort zone that I need to get out of? And to do that, I looked at a bunch of YouTubers that inspire me, and they gave wonderful advice on those things. So I was like, why don't I do that? Why don't I just show like what I've learned and gathered from a bunch of different YouTubers? I can give examples like Lavender Town, Love to Draw Manga, Ross Draws, like Drawing with Waffles, Casey Golden, a bunch of different YouTubers that inspire me, like Rajan Tokari, a bunch of different YouTubers on Instagram. I mean, not YouTubers, people on Instagram as well. Like, they inspire me, and what they do is that, and they give advice. And so it's like, why don't I apply my advice that I've gathered over the 6 years that I've been drawing. I've been drawing for 6 years now. Wow. So that's pretty long time, and not really long time in terms of like a full lifespan, but 6 years. Like that's how long I've been drawing. I'm like, why don't I share my advice to some of you guys that are watching this, whoever's watching this, because a lot of people are lost in that sense. Especially like beginners are lost in that sense. Because when I was a beginner, I don't think I'm an expert or anything. I'm not an expert. Definitely, I'm like in that middle zone, maybe still close to beginner, because there's still a lot of things I have to learn. But there's a lot of things out there that like a lot of people don't know about, and I was like, why don't I share about it, share my opinions on it at least. So yeah, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed. See you guys later. Bye.